It's been heavily requested, and frankly, I don't even know why I missed it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks, where today we're going to be taking a look at one of the games that came out of the Supreme Straits tournament. This happened just a little while ago, and I'm not even sure how I missed it. Just some sort of an event that I guess slipped under my radar. So many things going on here at the Brightworks, and I guess that's just a sign of good times, huh? Anyways, spawning on the southern side of Supreme Straits, well, obviously in the Supreme Straits tournament, it's going to be our team leader, Mighty Sheep, representing the blue team here with 64 true skill. I didn't even know they got that high. 64 true skill, plenty of silver chevrons. This is a well-experienced players. Definitely one of the pros, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. Definitely one of the beyond all reason pros, going to be showing us how it's done here in the starting location of Supreme Straits. Now, it's interesting to remember, important to remember, that this is Supreme Straits, where the middle position here is a geothermal spawn, if you will. Important to remember that because it does mean that Mighty Sheep is in a position where you have a lot of important roles to fill here. Already getting into the aggression here before I even have time to meet the enemy team leader. It's going to be Seagull spawning right in the same position here. Everybody's bringing their A game. Oh, I love it. Seagull spawning in the same position as Armada, going to be going into bot labs. Already we have some ticks across the map and looking to get aggressive on this side of the map. Nizah microing his heart out with these ticks. You can see that they're already locking on to the windmill over there, but they'll be happy to take any target that they can. At the very least, getting a nice scout out about exactly what's going on. They will find the metal extractor over here. Oh, they're going to get it. They do manage to get the metal extractor. That's an excellent pick. Not sure if they killed a metal extractor here or if that one just wasn't built in time. I think it wasn't built in time, so that is going to be, all said and done, a fairly nice deflection of damage. Yeah, I think that certainly could have done a whole lot more, and I think Nizah tried microing his best, but man, that's just what you get when you get into these high-level games, huh? Oh, it's already exciting. So you can see the blue team has gone for something absurdly interesting. Mighty Turtle has pushed all the way to the front line with the commander. No labs, no anything else. Just using the commander on the front lines to lock down all of this metal reclaim by building LLTs all over the place, shutting down the 4.3 metal extractors here. This is a really, really aggressive build. Of course, this means that you don't have a player on the lines, and that spot specifically is going to be in the backline. So I think that's a really good idea because it does mean that without one in the backlines, you're giving up either an eco or an air player, more or less. But that's not really going to matter if you plan on being super hyper aggressive. Yep, we do have a Janus that was now handed over to Mighty Turtle, allowing Mighty Turtle to micro that Janus to absolute perfection because, of course, he doesn't have a base and all that eco and the macro to worry about, so to speak. Now this Janus has all the time in the world to line up the perfect shot, and it is going to jump on top of Nizah's commander, firing away with those twin heavy missiles. Bang, bang. That's another, 20% off of that commander's health bar right there. Very, very heavy hitting those Januses, and so when they're microed well, they can do a whole lot of damage. You can see Zerpiderp handing over these Januses to the green commander here. Very, very nicely done. Glass trying to micro the commander back here to shut down this grunt using the carrier, the helicarrier here, the Hercules, to lift up that commander and move it into the backline. Oh, this is painful though. Yeah, the blue team has successfully taken over the entire front line right now. And, okay, we already have a T2 lab coming up. 3 minutes into the game, and we already have a T2 coming up by Koyuma and Mighty Sheep. Koyuma, where are you playing from? Ah, right over here, okay. Koyuma playing from the other mid lane spawn position here, but helping out with the building of a T2 lab right now, and I wonder what we're going to go into right off the bat here. 97, 98, 99. Ah, it's a Czar. Okay, we're going into a Czar production. Interesting. A Czar is definitely lethal on the front lines right now. Enough firepower to definitely destroy, I mean, absolutely decimate any of the T1 bots that are out and about here. But also, of course, it's quite durable as well. So it really allows you to reinforce that front line and you just have that mass out in front of every single one of your units. Very powerful stuff. Interesting to see how we're going to use that. Now, there are some counter Januses being placed up here, but really the red team just can't hope to contest this without as many commanders on the line as the blue team does. Yeah, and you can see Jazzcash just steadily increasing the eco here, going up fairly standard. Haven't even gotten a chance to look at the naval play here. It looks like Dankest is eventually going to get into the water over here on the right-hand side for the red team. However, the blue team's Elmer Fudd is not going into the water whatsoever, just building the metal extractors, and that's about it. While we do see BDBR contesting the northern high seas. This is where I think all the action is going to go down, though. You can see those Rocketeers. Oh, the Janus is already connecting. Oh, those are some juicy connections right there. One of the Januses will pay for it with its life, but I think that is probably a trade that we are well worth accepting here on Zerpiderp's side. Yeah, Rocketeers firing away wherever they can. Aggravators trying to counter the Rocketeers, and it's a pretty good counter. I mean, it's it's kind of a equal counter, right? So it usually comes down to numbers in positioning. Whoever has more and better positioning is obviously going to win out in the end, but still you can see so much contest available just because we have this early aggression from Mighty Turtle pushing the front lines and forcing out so much of a response from the enemy team here. Missile Truck trying to shut this down, but you need so many of them to cascade properly, and I just don't think that we have it. Yeah, this Silver Star Janus, or Silver Bar Janus, I should say. Nizal's commander also looking pretty scratched up. Not really any way to contest the front lines right now. All these units look like they were handed over because Nizal is pumping out of a vehicle bay right now. And we have a big tech run by. Oh, massive Janus connection. Will shut that down, luckily, here for the red team. If those ticks had gotten into the backline, I fear for what damage they could have done. We do have T2 Mauser coming out to the field, but I think it's about time that we have that Tsar rolling out. And indeed, we do see Kayuma with the Tsar rolling out onto the field. That's going to do a lot of damage. Tsars can definitely lock down front lines all on their own. They do need a little bit of light support. If you get surrounded, you can be in a little bit of trouble, but certainly with the amount of units that we already have out on the field right now, you can see it becomes a nightmare to deal with. Medium tanks are being produced here. They're not bad, but they're a juicy target for the Tsar. I mean, there's not much that isn't a juicy target for this bad boy. 1,650 metal, 22,000 energy goes into each and every one of those tanks, making it a very expensive investment, but certainly one well worth investing in. Able to get a tremendous amount of value, and you can see the AoE impact damage of that Tsar shot is tremendous. There it goes, firing away. This is going to be the first time that the red team sees that Tsar on the front. And there go all those medium tanks. Ooh, that hurts. That hurts so bad if you're the red team right now and you watch all your units get blasted away by 2 or 3 shots from that big boy tank. After the Tsar, we are just sending out rows and rows of Quakers here to reinforce. I think that's a brilliant idea. Sending out those Quakers does mean that you're going to have a long-range fire support and essentially a long-range way to deal with that Tsar. However, it does mean, well, I mean, the Tsar is on your team, right? But if you were on the other response, you would be able to deal with the Tsar. And I think that's what these Mauser here are intended for, right? Sort of the Quaker equivalent. Medium tanks trying their best to keep it together here. Tsar has already sniped one commander and it's looking for another. Dive, dive, dive. That commander's trying to get in the water as quickly as it can here. Oh, but this Tsar getting so much damage done. Every shot it takes is just ripples of damage across the face of the red team. Oh, a little bit of friendly fire right there. Hard to stop the Tsar from friendly firing. You need a really clean shot in order for the Tsar not to friendly fire. It just does so much AoE damage. Gof in a lot of trouble. Takes a direct hit from the Tsar. He's going to take one more. Not a direct hit. Little too soon on that, but still. Ooh, the commander does go down. So much damage coming out of that Tsar, and I think that is the front line completely melted away here. D-gun does connect barely with that lab. Nizal almost manages to get the commander in front of that D-gun, but will not manage to, and so that lab goes down, forcing Nizal off the front line. We've already seen Gof's commander go down here, and now the forces are continuing to press forward. Repair bots here to patch up that Tsar and keep it in the fight, and you can see with 2 chevrons under its belt, it is well worth keeping alive. Going to be firing a little bit faster, going to be hitting a little bit harder, going to be continuing to scale, as it were. Oftentimes they can be overlooked, the veterancy, but it is oftentimes what makes the difference when you have head-on engagements between straight-up even armies. That and positioning. Positioning has a huge effect as well. There's not much more for the red team to hold on here. I mean, it's nice that we have T2 coming out of this lab at a pace here, but the ticks are eventually just going to jump on top of these Mauser. The Mauser can't even really fire on the ticks, and the ticks, the cheapest unit in the game, are now tearing apart these expensive T2 artillery pieces. I mean, I guess they're not that expensive. They're comparatively cheap, I guess I should say, but still, don't want to be losing them to 17 metal worth of T1 bot. Frontline has already dissolved for the red team, and things are not looking very good. They do decide to tap out. Now, I do have a little bit of a treat for you. We're going to get a chance to take a look at the next game that was played immediately after this one and see what the red team is going to hit back with after seeing the blue team's build. Let's hop into game number 2. What a treat that we get to see 2 of these games in series. I really love to see it because when we have these high skill players and they're going back and forth, I definitely expect them to play the players rather than playing the matchup, right? I really expect that they're going to have a different response here. I should say that the red team here will have a different response. Looks like we have the same spawns, essentially. Yeah, actually exactly the same spawns and the exact same colors here for the red and blue team. We've already met them, and we do indeed see once again that very aggressive start here by Mighty Turtle. Mighty Turtle starting up the vehicle bay and then handing it over to Zerpyderp here. Gonna be pumping out units of his own, I suppose. Interesting. Oh no, hands it over to Zerpyderp. Okay, interesting. So now Mighty Turtle's moving forward. He's got the aggressive commander moving out. And yeah, I mean, this commander moves so far forward. A stop vote was called because the wind speed was so low. That's pretty funny. But yeah, this commander moving forward, I mean, it's a really aggressive maneuver, but it does lock down so much of this metal that's out here in the middle of Supreme Straits. I mean, if we take a look at our superior metal vision here, give it a second to update. I know for a fact it's about 1,000 or so, maybe even a little more than that metal that is all in the middle of this map here. The red team does spy this now as the ticks find the commander building the LLT out here. There is a resbot, there we go. So 1,000 metal and then a couple hundred in these rock piles over here. I think it's about 200 there and 300 here. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of metal to go back to. Easily a T2 transition, if not more. And you can see that, well, for the time being, all of that's going to be locked down by Mighty Turtle. Now, nicely done with this Resbot to at the very least eat up some of that. 300 metal is nothing to scoff at, but yeah, that Resbot will go down for now, and Mighty Turtle now has control over the center of the map. What do you do about this? I mean, the red team's going to have to respond, and so I wonder what they're going to do. Nice little scout right here by Ro, the air player here for the blue team. Going to be scouting with a Finch, sending it across the map and trying to figure out where exactly each of these players are. Centurion is out on the field. Centurion very powerful because it can sort of contest the commander. It fires very quickly. It has those lasers, right, so it can fire fairly accurately as well. It can stay out of range of the commander, but it can continue to harass it. So that's a very interesting option that Nazah has gone for. We don't see the Centurion all too often in these games, but it is definitely an option that Armada commanders have. It's sort of a walking LLT, right? You can think of it as a bad LLT, but mobile. And there's certainly something to account for there. Centurion is really low. I mean, 0%, 13 health total to that bad boy. He's going to walk back to the commander and beg for a repair, as now the Janices are once again pumped out on the front lines. Looks like the blue team is not going to switch all too much up. They've figured out exactly what works, and they're going to be going for their very best build that they can. Obviously, this is all very well coordinated, and you can see going for another 3-minute T2 lab. I think this one's even faster than the last one, starting up that Tsar immediately. Where's the metal coming from for this Tsar, I do wonder. Looks like Kayuma does have quite a lot of metal. I wonder if he's going to share it to Mighty Sheep. Of course, both of these commanders can put the metal in, right? You can sort of distribute the metal from two commanders, maybe put it in a little bit quicker here. Going to be eating up some of the plants back here as well. That's quite nice. Nazah holding the front line with the Centurion. I like the Centurion because it does allow you to survive a couple of hits from the Janus, especially if you have your commander here to repair, of course. Yeah, you know what? I think that's actually really nice. Using that Centurion to bait out the shots from the Janus so that you know you can survive it, and these aggressive LLTs can sort of be punished by flashing them down with the Centurion and the rocket bots and all that good stuff. Being said, you really don't want to lose it here. I'd love to see a Resbot included just to make sure that we don't lose this on accident, just so we have some sort of idle repair system going on here. 3 silver bar LLT over here. Oh, nice connection from those rocket bots. Being microed back right there, I did notice the micro pulling back the weakened rocket bots and making sure that they get repaired up as well. Commander feeling a little bit low here though. Yeah, Nazah's commander about half health. Gonna need some sort of a response right now, but I don't think the red team has an effective response against this. I mean, what are we gonna do in response here? Okay, so the red team has made their own Tsar in a way, the Fat Boy. Gonna get one of those out on the field, and quite markedly quicker now that I take a look at it. Yeah, the Tsar is still rolling out, but the Fat Boy is already off the production line. You know what? I spoke too soon. Actually, the Tsar probably came out first. The Fat Boy was just, I guess it's what I was focused on. The Fat Boy also seems to be a little bit faster. Speed of 30 versus a speed of 41. Never mind. I'm wrong across the board today. I guess I'm just on copium because I'm an Armada player and I'm jealous of how powerful the Tsar is. Rocketbots here giving quite a bit more trouble this time, and you can see those Januses have a harder time dealing with the rocket bots. They're a little bit too slow to avoid the rockets all the time, and especially once you get the rocket bots up to critical numbers, you can really start to blast down those Januses, and I think that's exactly the right move here from Nazah. I think the Centurion's included for a little bit of HP pool is a great move here, and I think Mighty Turtle is not feeling as confident on the front lines as he was before. That being said, holding this 4.3 metal extract rate here, which is usually justifiably owned by the red team here, does mean that you're going to get a nice little metal income bonus. And that adds up very quickly over time. I mean, 4.3 metal per second becomes several hundred metal per second in just a minute or two. Yep, rocket bots slowly whittling things down. You need so many rocket bots in order to one-shot things. Yeah, they snowball sort of slowly, but once you have them there, they can really start to pick up pace. It's also important that you keep them really well spread out. They can't fire past each other, and they often will friendly fire each other if you have them in a big ball, so it's really important that you have them spread out. Either way, the Tsar does start connecting. Oh, that hurts. Yeah, the Tsar starts firing into those T1 bots, and there is not a lot that you can do here as the Tsar in order to deal with that. I mean, I think the best option here, legitimately the best option, might be to go for ticks. And the reason for that is because the ticks can get underneath the Tsar and convince it to start friendly firing. And I think that might genuinely be the best way to cause this thing to die on the front lines here. You can see Nazar starting up a radar jammer, so at the very least his units have a little bit of coverage from the Tsar firing away over here. The Fat Boy trying its very best to connect as well. Goph's commander looking really low right here, right next to it though. Uh-oh. It's about 25% health off of the commander every time that the Tsar is firing. Oh, he wants it. He knows the commander is over there and he wants to get the kill. Settling to engage in a battle with the Fat Boy though, and I don't think that's a bad idea. I think the best option here would be for someone on the red team, a commander on the red team, to try and degun this Tsar. Yeah, I think if we could try and degun this Tsar, I think it would be well worth it. However, of course, that does mean getting real close to a Tsar, and that's never a fun prospect. Mighty Turtle is now really low on the front line, but the ticks have already broken through. The LOTs were melted away. They do find the commander here, Goph, who is going to be jumped on by the ticks. Don't underestimate them. They are certainly capable of killing those commanders lickety-split. It's going to be Goph going down, as well as the Fat Boy here. That's essentially all of the defense that was available for the red team on the left-hand side of Supreme Straits on the front line here. Forces from the from the orange are going to have to move over in that direction. Forces from red probably should move in that direction as well. Oh, the ticks. Okay, they're cleaned up, but that was real scary. That advanced fusion, or that advanced geothermal rather, was hanging out here. We are going to switch into T2 vehicles, interestingly enough, without getting rid of the T2 vehicle or the T2 bot lab. Interesting. I wonder why we're not eating up the T2 bot lab. Maybe just doesn't feel like that transition's quite ready. But you can see the blue team just has this figured out, right? This is well practiced, well performed, and now they have the rhythms figured out, right? They know you move the Tsar in, you use that to break the front line, you move the Quakers in to supply that long range heavy damage, and eventually you end up in a really good position. Nazar waiting in the mire, hoping to catch that Tsar. I think he was thinking exactly what I was about, trying his very best to degun that Tsar, but it didn't step far enough forward here. It's gonna stay alive, gonna kill the commander, and that is gonna be even more metal headed back to the blue team. Front line is broken, and the blue team, or the red team rather, doesn't have a really effective counter to it. There's not really anything that they can do in order to shut all this down. It's nice that they're engaging in the northern sea here. BDBR just unable to really contribute to anything that can damage the... Oh, looks like we had a little bit of a pause and take right there. Mighty Turtle taking over for the blue player over here, who apparently had to drop out. Anyways, BDBR not really able to capitalize on having this advantage over here. It looks like gonna eat up the naval lab here, and I think that's the right idea, although I think it's a little bit too slow. I think if that had been built a little bit sooner here, it would have been a lot better, but unfortunately just the transition is taking a little too long here, and now I'm not even sure what the right answer is. I mean, you could go for maybe a hovercraft lab and try and harass from the side. You could go for a couple of those corvettes, the missile corvettes, and fire away from long range, but now that there's T2 out in the field, they're going to be able to fight back against even a naval force, so I'm not sure that a naval victory is really what we're looking for here. Now, there are spy bots on the field. That's an effective way to counter these, although you have to be very careful with them. Make sure you don't walk them next to other units. Oh, just accidentally got killed right there. That is unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, a spy bot with a really good detonation right now could paralyze all these Quakers and allow you to jump on top of it, but you need a force in order to jump on top of the paralyzed units with, and unfortunately, for the red team, that just doesn't exist right now. All right, gonna paralyze the Tsar and a couple of those Quakers for a good long while here, at least 20 seconds or so. Going to allow Fan the opportunity to dive in with his commander, I guess. Interesting. Oh, commander can't land. The ticks are blocking the commander from landing. They're gonna snipe the transport. Oh, he gets out of there with just 0% health. I mean, literally 0 health on that transport was remaining. Oh, this is a nightmare. 0% health on that transport. He's trying desperately to move it in. It will be sniped out of the air, blowing apart all of those ticks. I can't believe it. The ticks managed to stop the commander by clearing the zone for which the commander could land. I've never seen that interaction before. That was insane. Commander denied from degunning the Tsar right there. That was the Hail Mary. That was the play that could have ended the game, and it just got shut down. T1 ticks, 17 metal, and worth every penny of it. Finally, some Starlights are hitting the field, and this is exactly what we need, but I think it's just too late. The Starlights are trying to patch up this left-hand side, but they're really getting blasted apart right now. Kind of mispositioned as well. Medium tanks, or sorry, heavy tanks, the Tigers are now jumping on top of them. It's nice that they're firing away and all, but they're just not getting enough value out quite yet. They hadn't quite snowballed, and I think they just moved a little bit too far forward there. Now the tanks are jumping on top. BDBR moves his commander in to try and help with some of this, but I think the commander has just jumped into the hot zone. There we go. Transport will pick it up and get it out of there, and I think that's the right idea because that commander had no chance of surviving next to all those heavy tanks. Oh, advanced fusion reactor. Advanced geothermal, rather. Will pop like an overdrawn bulb, and that is going to be all she wrote for the energy source of the red player. Well, I guess the red player did inherit this base up north here. But that is going to be all she wrote in game number 2, taking a 2-0 victory with this very impressive Tsar push. 3-minute T2 into the immediate Tsar, into the Quakers, into the heavy tanks rather. What a devastating play right there. Very, very cool to see. I'm really excited about this. I think this is an excellent build that we've got going on here, and I'm excited to see whether this will be adopted or not. Yeah, definitely a cool one for sure. Thanks a ton to all the players for playing in this. GG's across the board. And I'd love to hear from you if you enjoyed this Supreme Straits tournament and you'd like to see more. Anyways, that's all for me, and I will see you in the very next video. Peace out, folks.